when you come to your faith in the way that I did as an adult, it's real. This was not an automatic thing that I just followed along my parents. This was all on me, because when I did make that decision to go back to God, I started at the very beginning.
Hello, everyone, everywhere. This is Bob Thibodeau with the Kingdom Crossroads podcast, and you are listening to the Going North podcast with my good friend Dom Brightmon. Be sure to subscribe to his podcast so you will not miss any of the upcoming episodes, and be blessed in all that you do.
Today's episode is sponsored by book number 2 from Dom Brightmon, Stay the Course, The Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. It is the field guide to help unleash the elite performer that is inside of you. Cop it today on Amazon.com or heading over to DomBrightmon.com and snag it in book, ebook, and audio book, so that way you can take it on the go and get yourself on the go to your northbound success. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, got another super special, awesome human for you today, courtesy of Podmatch.com, where podcast guests get to meet podcast hosts. And we got another wonderful, wonderful match from that site indeed, because today's guest is a Charm City bonus baby. That's right, indeed, because she's a fellow Marylander, so she knows all about the charm, crime, and the crab cakes. And not only that, she's an award-winning author, a multiple award-winning author for her wonderful book, and she's also a wife and a grandmother, as well as a wonderful doctor who has decades of experience. Let's give it up for the DC that's not in DC, the delightful and charitable Dr. Donna Chacko. How you doing today, Dr. Donna?
Thank you for that intro. Happy to be here with you, Dom. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, she's doing well with the extra water, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Well, welcome to the wonderful layer of puns, self-promotion, and occasional references to pie. That's right, indeed. But before we get to the wonderful pie, I'm pretty sure all introductions aren't allowed to be 75 days long, and they usually try to get the backstory of every guest that pops on the show for the first time. So am I filling in the listeners at home or in their cars? Who is the wonderful Dr. Donna herself?
Okay. Well, I'm a retired physician, and now I have a ministry called Serenity and Health. And I just come to value and understand health in a much more broad way than I did in my medical career. And that's what I'm passionate about. And the key difference from my early years is that now my faith is the foundation of this whole journey. And I understand that health is way more broad. It encompasses, emotional health and relationships and stress reduction and all kind of things to make us really be able to enjoy our abundant life that we are gifted with. So that's my thing.
That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's right, that second win, y'all. That's right, health at another level, y'all. That's right, indeed. Putting that faith into it.
Yes, health at another level. I like that. That's good.
Oh, yeah. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So at the age of 13, did you see yourself becoming a doctor?
A little older than that. When I was in high school, I kind of had that idea. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I liked science and I liked people. This was a long time ago. And I went to a girls' school, and being a doctor was not on the horizon. I never even knew of or had seen a female physician. But I liked science. I liked people. And somehow I got directed toward medicine. I'm very grateful that worked out like that.
There you go. That's right, indeed. It's right, indeed. Had to go through the dark ages at one point. That's right, indeed. Where folks were being semi-ignorant and not letting folks be themselves.
Well, we still have some of that going around.
Oh, yeah. That's right, indeed. More freedom, still more darkness. Let me stop. Oh, man. That's right, indeed. So, my goodness, I'm finally deciding to become wonderful physician getting these years of experience and all this wonderful wisdom. So, what would you consider your three major lessons learned from being a physician during your time as a physician with all the humans helping them heal?
Well, I think my biggest lessons in life really didn't come from us being a physician, really. I mean, I learned to be in awe of the human body being in the medical profession. I mean, it's so incredible how it works and functions and how it can heal itself in many cases and or with help of the physician or surgeon, but it's really quite a remarkable instrument that we are gifted with. So that's a huge takeaway of my life. But the other lessons really are a bit more complex, coming to find out that just staying busy, busy, busy all the time and never having any time for reflection or God or just thinking about life is just not a healthy way to live. And once I figured that out, I should have, it would have been lovely had I figured that out 20 years earlier. But, it takes some time and intentional effort, I think, to figure out where we want to go, how to get there, what our motivations are. And I just I was too busy for all that. So that's a second takeaway of my life that you really, I think we're all going to be happier and healthier if we slow down and give some intentional priority time to ourselves, to our God, to prayer, to listening, to our bodies, to everybody else. So that's a big part of it. And then the third lesson really that changed how I look at it directed me to what I do now is just understanding for those people who are believers how faith can be such a wonderful foundation for our health journeys and just help us to have an abundant joyful health where we celebrate the gift of our bodies and take care of it properly and have a purpose and for life and meaning to life and community with others and shared interests. And there's a lot of things that go into that can help us to embrace a full life. And I think that's kind of cool.
That's right. Probably cooler than two cucumbers. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right. That's right, indeed. Loach said there that magical IP, that intentional priorities, yo. That's right, indeed. Intentional priorities. Gotta be intentional about the priorities. That's right, indeed. Sometimes it's apple before orange or orange before apple.
Right. Or you don't even take time to notice if it's an apple or an orange. You're just on the treadmill, trying not to fall off.
Oh yeah, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. And I heard you actually had a spiritual fall off for a bit before actually rededicating yourself to the faith.
Yeah. Yes, I did. Well, that's because I was too busy on that treadmill and I had to juggle all these balls and I thought I was too busy to practice or my faith, practice a religion, pay any attention to God. It was never a intentional decision to not believe or, I guess I still considered myself a Christian. Um, and I should say for you and the listeners, that's my faith. I'm a Christian, but the things I talk about apply to any faith, any believers. I love and respect them all. But anyway, I just it was at the bottom of the list, I guess, and fell off. And it wasn't until I endured a number of years of kind of misery in a very difficult relationship and got to a crisis point that I just realized, wow, I can't do this. This problem is beyond my ability to fix. And you get to a point you have no choices. So I went on my knees finally and surrendered. And it taught me so much about life and just this realization of how people who are really wise and theologians and all these people who write books, they always talk about surrender. It always seemed awfully theoretical and like that doesn't even make sense. But now having gone through it was my turning point back to God and deciding that I had to trust God because I couldn't solve my problems. And so I had to make that decision. And it is a decision in the end. So that's what I did. And that period of my life was roughly when I was around 40-ish. So that's a long time ago.
5 years ago. Gotcha.
Yeah,
right, indeed.
exactly. Thank you. Well, full disclosure, I don't care. I'm now retired. I'm 73, so it was a long time ago.
There we go. That's right, indeed. As long as a wiener dog, you love to see it. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Hey, it's kind of interesting how life goes. Like, hey, it's right. Start off, especially if you're raised in certain phases, like, oh yeah, this is freaking amazing. I'm doing good, and then life happens, and you get more busy, and then you tend to forget, and then out of nowhere you get hit by a crisis. And it's like, oh, okay, fine, I'll come back. I get the message.
Right. It's a very common story, I think, really. But you know what was cool about it is when you come to your faith in the way that I did as an adult, it's real. This was not an automatic thing that I just followed along my parents. This was all on me, because when I did make that decision to go back to God, I started at the very beginning thinking like, okay, I believe in God. I know that much. Step by step. Well, do I believe in Jesus? Am I a Christian? And oh yes, definitely. And I was doing a lot of soul searching and praying and reading and studying during this time. And I did church shopping, went to various churches. By this time, our children were like from 8 to 12, something like that, and dragged them around to different churches because I was a bit reluctant initially to return to my childhood faith. But eventually that called me as home, and I did return to my childhood faith, and that was a good decision. I'm very happy that I did that. But it was an adult, like your word, intentional, a very intentional choice that was going to be my path for my life's journey.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. That wonderful life journey, indeed. And then you decided to join the business of immortality by putting it in book form. So, how was the process? Because I heard you had another book idea, but then I guess you took the self help idea and combined it with this one.
Yeah. Well, I had never written anything before. So this is my first book other than a couple of medical articles. So this was my first effort. And I was extremely ignorant and naive about what was involved. I had started doing these programs at my church about health. And so I thought I would write it all down. I did a lot of research, looking at health of body, mind, and spirit, and thinking about all the things that each of us can do in those areas and how they're all interrelated, talking about healthy habits of eating and exercise. And I learned all about Christian meditation, which fascinated me, and trying to understand mindfulness and how that fit in, and stress reduction and breathing, all those things. So I was going to write a self-help book. And I did, at least a first draft of a self-help book. But so 2.5 years or so into the project, by this time, I kept learning stuff as I was going through this, so it kept changing. And I was reading an excellent book by a medical journalist, and it included really compelling personal stories about her life. And this was the moment I changed the direction of my book. And as I was reading her book, I just realized, wow, it's her story and her vulnerability and her honesty. That's what's making me read it. That's the power of that book. That was what was motivating and inspiring and made you keep reading. And I was, by this time, so deep into trying to understand my own journey that I felt compelled to change direction of my book and make it, I think you could best call it a prescriptive memoir or a spiritual memoir. But anyway, it's a memoir, but not just designed because I wanted to talk about myself, but because I thought the things that I had learned about my journey could be really helpful to other people as they also can move ahead. So that's how it became the form that it is. But then that whole process that took another 2-3 years, several years. And when you write a memoir, you have to understand yourself to write it down. So as I started, and as I looked at my diaries, as I tried to remember, many more questions came up about my motivations. Why did I do these things? Why was I the way I was in that long, difficult marriage? So, then I, for the first time in my life, went to a psychotherapist, and I really did learn a lot about myself. I mean, it was really something. So all that's part of my growth journey. I just see so keenly the interconnections of the body, mind, and the spirit.
Ah, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. It's all connected, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. It's like a computer with a mouse and a keyboard. Really can't do much with it. That's right indeed. Especially with that motherboard in there too. You gotta have it all, y'all. That's right indeed. Definitely gotta have it all indeed. And my goodness, if I'm not mistaken, the difficult marriage, I believe the first husband passed away from leukemia too, right?
Yeah, it was such a turn of events because my crisis when I turned back to God was at the worst period of our marriage where I thought I really should get a divorce because our home was very dysfunctional. And, for all those years that I ignored God, I guess I just didn't admit the degree of problems because I just stayed busy. I sort of had to be. I had my medical practice. I was a mother, complicated life. But when I had that crisis and I felt called to stay married and not to get a divorce. And then within a few years after that, though, my husband died. So that was kind of a change of directions from what I had anticipated.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely change in direction. That's right indeed. Heck, maybe one of those detours as they call it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was a complicated marriage. And when he died, of course, I was very sorry he died. We'd been married 27 years. We have 3 wonderful daughters, but it was also a very difficult, painful marriage. And one of the insights about myself, part of the growth was coming to terms with that. Like, what happened? Because, when you're going through a terrible relationship, it's very easy to just blame the other person and not have insights into your own contribution to the mess. And I think that's where I was all those years. So, yes, he was difficult. In fact, eventually I concluded that it would probably be accurate to say he was emotionally abusive. But with time, I also understood my part in this whole thing. So, yeah, when he died, it was really a confusing time in my life to try and sort that through. And the kids were at that point just headed off in college or headed off to college. So, yeah, there I was. So that's when I changed my medical specialties from radiation oncology to family medicine. And I did a 3-year residency when I was 51, which many people thought I was insane to do, but that's what I did.
Hey, 50 is the new 30. It's okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, hey, besides, for the dyslexic folks, you're 15 to them anyway.
There you go. There you go. I'll take that. I felt like about 15 during that. I don't mean physiologically. I meant my brain felt like about 15 when I was trying to do that.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So my goodness. So it's, I guess in addition, going back to, I guess, really getting to know yourself and having to probably relive all those moments was probably the most difficult part of actually having to go through all that and put the book together.
Well, the most difficult part was figuring out the inside part of me. That was the most difficult part. I didn't see that coming. Because like I said, I just whizzed through writing my self-help book. I had all the information, but when you're trying to be honest and understand and write down in an understandable way for readers why you were in this 27-year marriage that was so difficult. Why were you so helpless? Why did I get engaged in 6.5 weeks? Why did I do all these things that I did? And I just learned that I had this drive to be productive and to work that just controlled me. And my brothers are similar. We were raised, our parents were products of the World War II and the Depression, and that's how we were raised. And of course, it's a great way to be. You get a lot done, right? It has a lot of rewards, but you sacrifice so much along the way. And one of the other things I learned, and women of my era know this well, many of us learned just to go along to get along. I did not like confrontation. I would rather not speak up, especially when I was younger. So my husband was 10 years older, I just went along. So all the things that I didn't like or didn't want, I stuffed. Can you imagine? That's not fodder for a happy relationship. But I didn't understand that really, but when I was going through it, I understood that in the many years after, with time, prayer, trying to write the book, and the help of a therapist.
That's right, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Prayer is good, but hey, if you need therapy, get that therapy, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right
Absolutely.
indeed. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think we all carry stuff. We're programmed from our childhood. We have these imprints. And I think of all my early years, I was kind of on automatic pilot. And I never wanted to look into that. I never wanted to slow down to think further or understand. So I just stayed on automatic pilot. And in my own case, there were a lot of rewards, right? Because I was a doctor and I, had a good income, and I was married, had beautiful children, and da 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 da. But the price was paid by all of us.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Because we all got our prices to pay in this lifetime, indeed. That's right indeed.
But we can always grow and change, and I'm grateful to be here at this age and have all the opportunities to, celebrate life and growth and increase understanding. I'm grateful that I lived long enough to go through some of this.
Heck yeah, that's right indeed. That's right, to go through it, live through it, and tell the tale. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Get to complete the whole triangle. Heck, even to win awards for it.
Yeah.
That's right indeed. And not just one, but multiple. So how did it feel being able to submit your book for a bunch of awards and actually win? Because if I'm not mistaken, my goodness, Illumination, Book Awards, Gold Medal, even got the Reader's Favorite Editorial Review, and even got a Gold Medal for Reader's Views Literary Awards. How does it feel? Decorated author.
Well, when you're a first time author and you don't really know and you just do your best, and your family tells you it's a good book and your friends tell you it's a good book, it means a whole lot when strangers, or especially when a literary organization acknowledges that it has quality. And the reason it made me so happy was that I thought that would hopefully encourage people to read it. There's a lot of books published, and we all are picky about which ones we read because we have limited time. So it made me hopeful that those awards would be a little stamp of quality and value that might encourage people to read it. And then hopefully they would benefit, because that's the only reason I wrote it.
That's right indeed. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. Because, hey, it's good confirmation. It's like, hey, folks are actually saying it's good and they're not family or friends. All right, cool. That's right indeed. That means it's true. It must be true indeed. It must be true indeed. So, my goodness, so if this wonderful book was a food, what would it be and why?
Well, I heard you ask that of another guest. So I did think about that, and I know the answer. It is a casserole. And I'm thinking of a special casserole that I like, probably the only one that I really make. But it's a casserole because it's slow cooked and there's lots of ingredients, different textures, different layers, a lot of seasoning, herbs, just a little bit of hot pepper in there to liven it up. And then, you bake it and it gets all bubbly and warm and it's got a little crust. So, and not only that, it's tasty, it's enjoyable, it's very satisfying. So that's what would my book be.
So what's this special casserole? What makes it extra special?
The eggplant.
There you go. That's right indeed. Pilgrimage, eggplant, you love to see it. The double P. That's right. It's the pep. The pilgrimage eggplant, y'all.
Yeah. And plus they're so beautiful, right? Those eggplants.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They got the purple swag with all the royalty colors. Yeah, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. Ain't nothing wrong with the eggplant casserole. Don't be shy. That's right. It's food. It's normal. That's right indeed. Besides, folks love having them in audiences, especially when the eggplants laugh, Gotta have a plant in the audience somehow. Yeah, that's right indeed. That's right indeed. So, my goodness, since you've been on a bit of a mini podcast tour promoting this magical book, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often?
Yes, there is. In the book, I talk about a lot of different things that I tried and did in my journey to find abundant health, and then I encourage my readers to consider trying some of these things. And I think a good question is, of all those things, was anything that you did most valuable to you, to me? And the answer is yes, there was one thing that was most valuable for me, for my circumstances. And it is a meditative type of prayer. It's a Christian meditative prayer. So it's basically a meditation called centering prayer. And that is it's just a method of meditation based on Christian tradition over the centuries. And centering prayer is simply a more modern way of explaining to us moderns how to do it, what it is. But basically, it's like all meditation. It's a quiet time. And in this instance, it's a quiet time in the presence of the Lord, just saying yes to his presence in action. So it's basically like a surrender of that amount of time in quiet. And the reason I say that it's the number one thing is I think that's what I most needed more than anything because of my too busy, large in charge brain, controlling, planning, scheduling, worrying. And this kind of prayer, which I don't do as a health maneuver, I do as a prayer to open myself up and be closer to the Lord. But I do know from my own experience and from all the research that has been done that there are health benefits in terms of quieting the brain and being more relaxed, less stress, blood pressure is lower. And so that would be my number one.
There you go. That meditative prayer, y'all. That's right indeed. Ain't nothing wrong with that meditation, y'all. That's right indeed. That's right. Donna still got her hair, so that means you don't have to shave your head for this, y'all. That's right.
I see so you're okay too. I see you still have hair.
Oh, yeah. That's right indeed. Hey, that's what happens when you get in hairy situations, right? Oh, man. So, any more books coming up for you in the future, Dr. Donna?
I am in the process of writing a book concept for book 2, but that's all the farther I've got. It's a big decision to dive in again. So I'm working on that.
Okay, all right, cool. So I guess G14 classified, not telling us what to expect at all from this one.
Yes.
That's right. She's gonna write a teen fiction novel, baby. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Harry Potter meets Game of Thrones meets. That's right, My Little Pony. That's right. That's right.
Well, that's wild.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Instead of ponies, they may be camels. You never know.
Mm.
That's right. The Pinkie Pie is a pink camel. That's right. Stop. Well, before I go down any further that rabbit hole, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive. And that is, if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but you're still in 2022, what advice would you give to yourself?
Well, I've alluded to it. I would have slowed down and listened and done a maneuver like that so I could get off of this automatic treadmill thing. And looking back, I think the only way I could have gotten off it if I had slowed down and listened to myself and listened to God and listened to my body and just not worked every second. Because you know, I didn't have any insights. When you're doing those things, you think you're happy, you're successful, you're building a career, everything's great, right? But it's really not great because you're ignoring a lot of what's core to life.
That's right, that core to life, y'all. That's right, indeed. So heard it from the good doctor, y'all. That's right. Find your abs, y'all. That's right. Find your core. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. That makes you truly happy. Don't be running around on the treadmill. That's right.
Right.
That's right. Avoid the gerbil swag. That's right, indeed. Avoid the gerbil. Or the hamster, as they say. That's right, indeed. Get off the hamster wheel. That's right, indeed. Find your wheel of fortune instead. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Oh, speaking of Wheel of Fortune, it's going to be a Wheel of Good Fortune if they spin their eyes over to your marvelous site and keep up with your journey. So, for those of you to do just that, what's the best way for folks to do so, Dr. Donna?
All right. My website is called serenityandhealth.com, 3 words. And there you can learn more about my book. I would love to have you sign up for my blog. I'll send you 3 keys to a holy, happy, and healthy life. And I have a program available there called Your Path to work on some of these issues yourself on your own schedule, on your own time. And my book is called Pilgrimage, A Doctor's Healing Journey, and it's available at Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And I'd love to get emails. And my email is dc@serenityandhealth.com if you have any questions.
Woohoo! Step over to DC Comics. It's time for the real DC, baby. That's right. The wonderful Dr. Donna herself, baby. That's right, indeed. So head over to our website. Get those 3 H's. That's right. Holy, happy, and healthy, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. I'm sure there might be honey involved with the happy, huh?
And that's yes.
There you go. Give you a 4th H. It'll be a 4-leaf clover.
Yeah, like honey is good.
That's right, indeed. It's in the Bible. It's got to be good.
There you go. Well, locusts are there too.
Yeah, those are good for punishing people. Let me stop. Yeah, but we don't do the punishing. We do the promotion. So, any parting words before we close up shop, Dr. Donna?
Well, we're all busy, right? Many people are too busy. So if you're like many of us and like I was for so long, it's worth just slowing down, taking a breath, taking and making an intentional decision. And one small little thing you can do at every moment, at any moment you think, is just this little phrase I follow and sometimes say as a prayer, which is, okay, I'm going to stand up tall, I'm going to smile, and I'm going to listen. And if we do those three things more often during the day, I think the world would be better. We'd be healthier too.
Thanks a bunch for tuning in and setting aside some of your time to listen to this wonderful podcast, Going North. If you really enjoyed what you heard, do me a solid and share this with your network and someone that you care about that would get something out of it too. And be sure to subscribe to hear more, and heck, even check out the backlog if you would like, because there are hundreds of episodes to choose from, and they just keep getting better and not butter.